Made possible through support from ARC Thrift Stores, Autism Society of Colorado, Colorado Access, Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council, Developmental Pathways, Firefly Autism, Rocky Mountain Civitan Club, and the Arc of Aurora. A Think Change training.
Hey there everyone, Erica Dennison here with Think Change, the Think Change and Programs Director over at the Arc of Aurora, here today bringing you another episode as part of our multi-part series, Molding the Path to Adulthood for Youth with Developmental Disabilities. Along this journey, we're meeting with some really wonderful external guests in our community. In today's episode, I am introducing you to two fabulous humans who work for the Colorado Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. So if either of you would like to dive on in first, could you please introduce yourself, a little bit about the work you do here and the organization itself?
Well, my name is Serena Gilbert, and I am one of two of our Youth Services and Transitions program managers. I specifically specialize in helping to develop programs for youth with disabilities that would like to access pre-employment transition services and also employment first initiatives. I've been with DVR 12 years now, just about.
That's great.
And I am the second Youth Services and Transition Manager. I've been in my role for the past 17 years for a total of 22 years with the Division of Voc Rehab. While Serena's position focuses more on pre-employment transition services, mine focuses more on our school to work initiatives and contracts that we have with external partners to provide those services to our young adults.
Awesome. So both two very important roles within the organization itself.
Yes, and excited to have two now.
Yeah.
I haven't been that way for quite a while.
That's great news.
So
We grew a little bit.
we grew, yes.
That's awesome.
It's been nice.
For those who may be tuning in, whether they're listening to us via podcast or watching us via podcast, could you talk a little bit about just as a whole what DVR is? Because it could be a little confusing, I think.
You bet.
Yeah.
The Division of Voc Rehab works with all ages beginning at age 15 and all disabilities. For individuals where that disability presents a barrier or an impediment for them in either getting or keeping a job. That's the nuts and bolts. That's the easiest way to put it. We are a choice program, so people choose to participate with us. We are a government program, so that does mean we have an eligibility process, which also takes a look at what individuals can contribute financially for certain services, but that is not part of the actual eligibility portion of our services. That's more in regards to what's necessary and appropriate to achieve the goals that we set together for employment.
Employment for everyone.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
right. I love it. So I think here and after, I'm going to refer to the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation as DVR because it's kind of a mouthful.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So what I want all of our viewers and listeners to know is that there is a DVR in every state, but programs and services can look very, very different depending on where you are and what is offered. So I want to just give everyone a gentle reminder that today's episode is really specific to what is offered here in Colorado, but I do encourage you to explore what is available after listening to this episode because there could be similar programming available maybe where you are. So as we're diving in, I know we have a lot of viewers and listeners tuning in who are very curious about how DVR in Colorado might help a youth with developmental disabilities who is transitioning to what we like to call adulthood.
So in Colorado, we like to start working with young adults super early. So beginning at age 15, young adults can access what's called pre-employment transition services that allows that young adult to, number one, explore some of those career interests and what their abilities are compared to those interests. And then also develop employability skills and how to self-advocate and also get some experience on an actual work site. Also, we can help explore things under the post-secondary education opportunities that might be available as well. So we really like to help starting at 15 because you might think when you're 15, I think I want to do this type of a field, but then you look into it a little bit more and it's really not what you thought it would be. So we have plenty of time to help support young adults with figuring out where they would like to be when they're done with high school.
Absolutely. And I think that's really cool that you guys can kind of help a youth follow their folly and kind of figure out what is the best fit for them. I mean, when I was 15, I'm trying to even think, I probably wanted to be like a ballerina or something, dancing on Broadway, you know? I mean, so like trying to figure out what a youth would like to do as an adult, I think could be very exciting, but also really challenging, because I mean, we all want to have, you know, the opportunity to try different things, and you may not want to do one career forever.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's part of what I love about the pre-employment transition services that we're able to support for young adults, is it gives them that opportunity to actually go on a work site, maybe do an informational interview with an employer and see what a day in the life of insert career here is.
Yeah.
And really see, because things look really glamorous on TV sometimes, you know, like, oh, I want to be a video game designer. This looks so cool. I'll get to play video games all day. And then they talk to a video game designer and learn really what the nuts and bolts are of that field. And they're like, okay, maybe not, but I do like this aspect of it, so can I explore this? And that's what we're here to do, is to help support that exploration.
That's so exciting. I love that. Do you have anything else to piggyback off that question that I asked about, you know, how might DVR help a youth with developmental disability who's transitioning to adulthood?
One of the things that I like about the pre-employment transition services is that we're taking the building blocks and trying to scaffold those services so that skill sets are actually learned and a true career pathway is formed by the time that young adult is ready to exit out of secondary education. Then we've got a real vocational goal that's going to offer opportunities for career advancement and self-sufficiency, so that we are decreasing the prosperity gap for them as they become adults, even if that includes additional training that they need after they exit out of secondary education, or if it means we are going straight into some sort of an employment opportunity. That being said, we do a lot of these services in partnership with secondary education, and we have to provide them in a manner in which supports and enhances what that school already does. So we're not duplicating and we're not replacing what they're required to do.
Got it. Is the process, you know, confusing? I mean, I would assume that there's different parties involved when maybe helping a youth kind of navigate this whole DVR process and what's offered. I mean, is it something that like you're in and out of the building in a day and you guys do an assessment and you're done and you move on? Or is this like a lengthy relationship by choice, like you said? I mean, is it a long process to get involved, or how long can you be involved for?
Well, most of our young adults, especially when they're still in high school, they start by accessing our pre-employment transition services. So that starts with them meeting with one of our DVR partners for them to get to know, what is it that you'd like to explore, or are you kind of a blank slate? And let's start with doing some interest assessments, that sort of thing. That appointment's fairly short. There is some paperwork. There's always paperwork, you know.
Always. Our
There's
favorites.
always paperwork, but
Government programs.
it's minimal for those that want to access pre-employment transition services. And as soon as that paperwork's completed, they can start receiving services. It's pretty much immediately. Now, as their goals become more and more specific and more individualized, for example, if they are about to graduate and are already like, this is my career pathway and I'd like to start receiving employment services after I'm done with high school, then there is a longer eligibility determination that has to be completed. But even that, if they're still already involved with DVR, is still going to be a smoother process for them to go ahead and start receiving the employment services.
Got it.
Yep.
Is, you know, the work that you guys are doing is so important, I think, just with, you know, kind of figuring out, you know, insert job here, like you were saying. And you mentioned earlier that, I mean, you can really start receiving help from you folks as early as 15. When a kid with a developmental disability is 15, they're generally still in school. So are you guys communicating with the school throughout any of this process, or is it just totally separate?
We collaborate directly with our schools. And in addition to that, we work through a multiple of different types of partnerships with our education partners or other service providers that DVR will contract with. We also have vendors that the state uses, in addition to our counselors themselves that provide services directly to the students. It just varies from different location to different location, how those collaborations are set up, because they're designed to meet the local needs
Got it.
and address what can be addressed in the different areas. You know, I mean, DVR is no different than other programs where what services look like in a greater Denver metro area looks much different in a more rural area.
For sure.
And
Absolutely.
how those services are delivered looks different,
Right.
more creative.
But regardless of the area, we have a DVR liaison that's just assigned to every single school district or BOCES. BOCES is the
Board of Cooperative Education Services.
I'm like, what is BOCES?
All of you tuning in, we know we like to talk about
Yes,
acronyms,
all
and
the
there's another
acronyms.
one.
But there is a DVR staff member assigned to every single area where there's a school, and part of their role is to be in that school and connect with the local special education staff, the students that they're serving in the school, to make it easier for the services to be accessed.
That's awesome. That's great to hear that, because I just, there's so many different humans involved in the life of a student with a disability, whether they need a lot of support or minimal support. There's just so many different people involved. And so that's another person involved, but a really important person, to make sure that they're making sure that this job exploration thing is not kind of like left to the wayside, I suppose.
You're right. And
Yeah.
I think with such a multitude of resources coming at family members, certain things get overlooked when it's not the priority or the immediate need that's being addressed in meetings. So knowing that at any point in time, as a family member, you could ask special education, when is it appropriate to bring in somebody that's going to talk about employment, or can we invite somebody? They can do that at any point in time, and we would encourage them to do so.
That's great. Awesome.
And what's really cool too is not only with the pre-employment transition services, but even looking further down the road, just past high school and exiting transition services, we have a lot of really cool options for specialized services for individuals that do have more significant employment needs. Right now we're working on building up the service providers for customized employment, which is really cool, which is a pretty creative, I really like it, approach to how we go about helping an individual that has more significant needs find employment that's fulfilling and not the traditional pathways that we've seen in the past.
That's wonderful.
That could be a whole nother episode.
It probably could be. Stay tuned, viewers, listeners. You talked a little bit about the different people that are involved. And so when it comes to how the services are provided, how might that work? Are there, there's a certain staff within DVR, there's different vendors, there's contractors, community partners, resources. I mean, is it just all encompassing of everything you were just talking about, or is there more to add to that?
Well, it starts with informed choice for all of the young adults that we serve. So we provide them with the different options that are available, which may be, just like you said, it might be our DVR staff, it might be a third-party cooperative agreement, it might be a contractor, it might be a vendor, it might even be another community resource that has a similar mission to us that we partner with. But we always will provide, here's your options, here's what you need to know about these options. And at the end of the day, the young adult gets to decide what might be the best fit for them to receive services.
Great.
I would add to that we have formed certain collaborations with our school districts in certain areas where they have actually come up with programming that fits into pre-employment transition services. Things that are offered outside of the school calendar and the school day, where activities exist specifically to get into the nitty-gritty, hands-on experience of what it means to go into a certain industry or a career pathway, whether they're inviting in representatives from those industries to do activities with the students, or if they are taking them to those places to learn. That is one of our real successful opportunities. But again, it looks completely different all the way around the state.
Yeah.
Some might be a one weekend event for a whole summer and that's it. Others might be spread out over 3 weeks of the summer.
Yeah.
It just varies from location to location.
Yeah.
It's also really individualized too. You might see some young adults that do like some of the group workshops that Cheryl was mentioning, and then they also have some one-on-one services to help them explore more individually what their goals and interests are too. So
I think that's really great because, I mean, everyone learns so differently, and maybe working in a workshop setting among, a group of other folks, asking questions that maybe you hadn't thought of, maybe help you learn better, or maybe that one-on-one, like you were talking about, is what works better for folks. So that's nice to hear that it is really individualized. It's not one size fits all. And just knowing that it certainly is a great opportunity for someone kind of looking as early as 15 on kind of what the future could hold. Serena and Cheryl, that's all the questions that I have. I mean, is there anything else as we're kind of closing up this conversation that you want to share with our viewers and listeners that would be important to know about the programming that you folks offer through DVR?
Well, one thing I want to add is I know like that transition, like it's scary to think of like your young adult at 15, like graduating and leaving the high school setting and things like that. It's scary when you have a young adult that doesn't have a disability. You're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do next? Like, but I just would highly encourage, even if there's just the slightest inkling that your young adult has shown that they would like to work or have a job of some sort one day, to have them explore services with DVR. Because it's kind of that safe place to try things out. While you're younger, you can try out all kinds of different things, and then you're still going to have all those supports to help you, if that's not the right fit, to try something new and keep trying something new. So we have the ability to help young adults with all kinds of disabilities, whether that be a learning disability or physical disability or an intellectual disability. We have that capacity to help you all out.
Wonderful. Anything else to add?
I'm going to go in a different direction.
Oh.
I thought that was the direction Serena was headed. I was like, yep, let's
She was so supportive.
I do love myself some detours. I'm okay with that.
We're frequently asked by family members, what's my role in all of this?
Oh, that's
and how do I contribute?
Yeah.
I think that's such an important piece, and it's a new piece for DVR partners as well.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, up until 2016, 2014, when the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act came into place, DVR worked with young adults as they were exiting out of secondary ed. It wasn't when they were younger, which makes more sense to work with them younger and help with that preparation. Now that we are a team with family members, we need their help as well. So I guess this is a plea more than anything to family members, maybe. If your young adult has expressed that interest, if you are thinking about what happens after secondary education, whether they're 15 or 16 or 17, it's never too late to start making certain that you are promoting that whole shift in thought process with your young adult. Work is part of life afterwards. What does that mean? That means that we have responsibilities. Something as simple as talking about different work aspects at the dinner table, maybe even making certain that your young adult has chores that they contribute to on a regular basis to the household. Those are such important skills building aspects that if they don't start those even earlier than 15, the road's going to be much more difficult whenever they do begin that. It's helping them understand how to advocate for themselves in an appropriate manner when they would like to say, can I go out tonight with you as mom and dad, right? It's those pieces of information. It's understanding that DVR is an adult service provider, and as such, we are an employment agent, not an employment agency, but we are there to help with that employment process. And employment means that your young adult will need an ID card. May not be a driver's license, but they're gonna need an ID card. They are also, as part of this process, going to require their Social Security number. Those are two pieces that we seem to struggle with in terms of messaging to our partners.
Interesting.
That are family members. And we understand we're not there to probe into or touch on, not quite saying that the way I want to, private affairs. But the bottom line is if you're going to go to work, these are documents that are needed. They're required.
Yeah.
Not necessarily by us, but by the process of employment. So bringing those things to the table, and then of course advocating for your young adult and helping them to ask the right questions. All important. What else did I miss there? I know I did. I had a whole list in my head of things.
Should I be reading your mind right now?
Yes, you should.
Where's my crystal ball? Let me see.
Usually you can. That's why I was like,
Well, and I had something sort of related, and Cheryl's heard me say this before. I think you have at least. Like, it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen when they exit out of high school?
Sure.
And it can be really hard to do what Cheryl's asking, because we being an adult program, your young adult might be 15 or 16, but we're still going to have them be the captain of this ship.
Mm-hmm.
All of our staff is here to support them, but at the end of the day, we're going to look to the young adult and say, what direction would you like to go? How can I support you?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you explore this? I know it's difficult when you have a young adult that's got significant needs. You've worn every hat for them. You're their social worker, you're their mom, their dad, perhaps a nutritionist, they're everything. So when I worked with families that have had young adults with significant needs, I've always said, okay, let's take off, you can let us wear the employment hat now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just worry about being mom and dad when
Yeah.
you're in my office here. Like, let us help with employment, and we will make sure that we can do whatever we can do to help your young adult be successful. We're not here to make this process more difficult or to make this miserable for your young adult. We really want them to succeed, and we'll do what we can in our power to make sure that happens.
That's wonderful. I love how you both are closing it, because I think that is so important that, mom and dad could just kind of be mom and dad,
Exactly.
but have those responsibilities that you were talking about, like making sure we have the Social Security and the ID. I mean, those are things that I think generally you would just assume, but from lived experience, when you have a family member with a disability, your life is not very constant. And so I think remembering those types of just day-to-day things like an ID and Social Security card may not be just on the forefront of someone's mind, but you are right. I mean, that is something that we all need to apply for employment to be a contributing citizen, right? So Serena and Cheryl, I super duper appreciate each of your valuable time today. To all of our viewers and listeners, we hope that this was helpful to you and that you have, we just scratched the surface, right, of what DVR can really help youth with developmental disabilities once they, start kind of molding that path to adulthood. So be sure to check out the links we have provided for you in our show notes of other things that DVR can provide to you through their programming. But in the meantime, thanks again for joining us, and stay curious. We'll see you later. Bye.